Hello and welcome to this edition with a Time with Hime podcast. Today we're doing a totally different setting. We're in the library at the LRC. We have a group of freshman leadership students here, and we're going to talk about school, and we're going to go through some questions and answers and try to get a feel for what our freshmen look like. You know, we've had sophomores and a lot of times we have juniors and seniors, but as we shape what we want school to look like, we kind of want to hear from our freshmen. So please, we got a large group, so we're going to try to spread this around, not one person take all the questions, but I kind of threw one out there early. You guys are freshmen, you look at school. What, if we switch roles, if you were the superintendent, what's something you would do to make school a better place for you the next 3 years?
I would say starting later.
Starting later?
Yes.
You know, that's an interesting one because we look at that and a lot of people say the research says we should switch our elementary and high school. No, somebody's got to get up early. Why is it, you're making the little kids get up early? But anyway, the problem you get is it's darker, and we're kind of set in this. Now, one thing we're going to look at next year that we're working on, I'm not saying we'll make it happen, is we're working on going back to 2 start times. So like 7:45 for high school and middle school, and 8:30 for elementary. And we even may look at in the future, if we get that going, is flipping those and going 7:45 and 8:30, depending on what research. And there's a lot of stakeholders you want to get involved before you start, because some people really like the 7:30, the athletic groups, because you know, athletics gets started at 1:30. There's a lot to that. Anybody else got anything? Remember, she's the only one with the mic, so grab the mic from her, somebody.
Well, at MacArthur High School, when you walk out, like to go outside to the student parking lot, there's a little piece of concrete by the JROTC building, and every time it rains, it floods it, and all of our shoes get muddy, and it tracks on the inside of the school.
I know where you're talking about, but I thought they fixed that. If they have not fixed that, I'll look at it, because that was on the list, and they were supposed to put some new concrete there, but I kind of think I know what you're talking about, because it also gets real slick in the wintertime because it freezes. Okay, thanks for bringing that to my attention, because I do have a saying, if you don't know it's broke, you won't fix it. And sometimes, even in my role, believe it or not, people know stuff and they won't tell me it's broke. I mean, I try to, so thank you for that. Anybody else got anything that can make school better? You guys, there you go.
I don't know if it should be like a club or anything, but a way to get freshmen more informed, just so they can know, the activities in their school history and just what's going on in their school.
So true. And people that listen to me, guys, if you take anything from knowing or ever talking to me, communication. I have a saying, you don't have to be bad to get better. Communication, you can always get better. If you want to be successful, wake up every morning and write it on your mirror or put a card, I'm going to get better at communication today. I'm going to communicate together better. People who the best communicators are most likely going to be successful. And I'm telling you, in my job, there are so many times I'll go to a principal and say, and they never heard what I'm talking about. And I'll know I told somebody. But you know what? I might have told somebody 4 years ago and forgot it was 4 years ago, and this principal wasn't even a principal 4 years ago. So that's on me because I'm not communicating it well enough. So it is something we talk about, and we're going to talk about some more. Anybody else, because we don't have to go in order here, anybody else want to throw something out about that? Here we go. And you guys were supposed to tell us your name the first time you go.
My name is Anna. I'm from Lawton High. I think we could use block schedule.
Block scheduling?
I feel like you could learn more in classes and it'd be really helpful.
You know, that's a interesting thing because it's kind of how pendulum swing. When I was about your age, a little bit after I got out of high school, which was, a couple years ago, thank you for smiling, block scheduling was a real big deal. And then a lot of research was done that showed block scheduling didn't work. Believe it or not, it seems like it would. Now, we do some of that over here for what you're saying. So, you get a lot of your classes taken your freshman and your junior, even 8th grade year, you take some classes to help freshman and sophomore year, get a lot of your credits out of the way, then you can do some of that over here because that is true, especially STEM classes and high-level science classes, the extra time really helps. Anybody else? Awesome.
Talked about how dress code isn't really enforced equally throughout students.
What, throughout teachers? What do you mean?
Throughout students and throughout schools.
Yes.
And how we're not trying to, a lot of kids don't try to dress inappropriately. It's just that we just want to simple shorts and a t-shirt or shorts and a sweatshirt, but certain kids will get in trouble for it and other kids won't. And like some of my friends have never gotten talked about their shorts, but the second they walk next to me and I'm in shorts, they get dress coded. But I'm also a lot taller and have longer legs and longer arms. So I just feel like we need to find a way to either be a little bit more lax about it or just make sure it's enforced equally and like fair.
And that is the discussion we have with our administrative and leadership team all the time. And really, it's even an adult issue. All joking aside, we have some schools that adults, the dress code they wear will be different than another school where we have a district expectation. But I guarantee you if you go to any other school, it's going to be the same issue. But again, what did I say? You don't have to be bad to get better. We should always be trying to get better at making sure that that's a fair, equal thing across the board. And also, even if it's about getting in trouble, just a reminder to a student, if they're borderline, say, hey, those are borderline, you probably shouldn't wear them. Or you probably shouldn't, if they're way out of dress code, probably sit home and change. But if it's just borderline, I'm not asking our principals or teachers to get out rulers and start measuring shorts and, because sometimes they say arm length. Well, some people I got short arms. Well, some people got long arms. Well, that doesn't work either, really. So it's a difficult situation, but we do need to get better at it. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go ahead. Definitely.
At our school, it takes a while to get to class because some of your classes are all the way on the other side of the building.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking we have a courtyard in the middle of our school where you could walk outside to the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
It's a closed area,
Yep.
and it would be super easy to open up so students could walk through there to get to class.
And that's at Ike, right?
Yes.
And we've talked about that, and you guys are getting a new principal next year. I would definitely visit with him and see what he thinks about that. I'm not sure. I don't want to sit here and say I'm not sure why we are not doing it. Somebody gave me a reason once, and I don't know if it was, because I'm not the one that enforces people walking through there. Therefore, I kind of let the buildings make their own rules for that. But that is a good question, and it always made sense to me. Why couldn't they cut across?
And the breezeway doors were open, but we understand that could be a safety issue.
Because it's open to the outside.
Since we got the fence now, I think the fence creates that security now, because now really you can't get into your campus without a police officer seeing you. Because if you notice, most time when I go by, there is somebody watching those. What do y'all think about all that security?
Oh, I'm glad it's there. Yeah.
Send the mic around so people can hear. Go ahead.
My name's Gianna. I'm just glad that it's there and that we feel like a little more closure, knowing that we have also like metal detectors and that we have that fence around there. And it's just a little more like something like that's good for our school.
Good, and that's good on my part, because when you put it up there, kids are going to hate that. And you always have one or two, because it is a little slower on the traffic and such, but it's good to hear. Anybody else? And good, if you want to be negative, you can. This should be open. This is nothing, what do I call it? This should be a nothing personal. I won't take anything, well, I'll try not to take anything personal. She laughed. I won't take anything personal. It is for me to get better and for us to make our school better. Go ahead.
My name's Destiny. I'm from Lawton High. I know at our school we do have the gates, but it seems that the gate to the parking lot is always open. I feel like it's like the one where you come in, I feel like that one's always open, and then the one where you go out, it's always closed.
That's how it should be. Because when you go out, the one to come in is always open, but we should have cameras on it. If we don't yet, we're getting cameras on it. And then we should have an officer watching it. And the ideal is that all of our officers will have like an iPad in their car, and it'll have all the gates on it so they can see anybody coming in. The ones like at yours that worry me is like if you go out between the baseball fields, like you're going, a lot of times, you can't believe people do this. They're just sitting there waiting for somebody to go out so they can come in. And that's not supposed to be an entrance during school hours. It's only an exit. So as soon as I drive out, they just sneak in. And our officers do a pretty good job of catching that and redirecting them. And we're not trying to get somebody a ticket or fine them for it, but that is how it's supposed to be. There should be one gate open all the time where you can get in. And I think like Ike, it's on the south side of right by the field house. At Lawton MacArthur, it's on the furthest west end, correct? Not the west, there's one west of it, just a little bit at MacArthur that you can come in. So there should be one gate you can get in, and there's more than one you can get out, but all the exits you have to pull up really close and slowly open them, and that's the ultimate goal. And we do have a lot of traffic with the LRC and stuff, but we're always looking for better. So when you talk to as in student leadership, when you talk, if you can find what better ways to redirect that, go ahead. So anybody else on the gates, what they'd like to comment about? What about the athletic facilities? What do y'all think about all those upgrades?
I'm just glad that we're getting a little more, and it's really like, I don't know, I think it's going to be very good to like see everybody like together, and that we have like new equipment and things like that.
So what about locker rooms? Do you play sports?
Yes, I do.
So you know all those locker rooms, there's 6 of them, and girls are getting preference. Because as far as I know, our girls in our sports, junior high and high school, y'all's locker facilities are not real good. Like softball, some of them are dressing in cars, and track really does. So, Todd, go ahead. Name?
My name's Carly, and I'm from Lawton, MacArthur, obviously. And sorry.
Go ahead.
But for the facilities, for tennis, we don't have any water.
Okay.
And for the locker rooms, that'll be perfect, because if you don't have a car, like a freshman, you either change, if you have a friend, older sibling, you change in their car, because the locker rooms, the bathrooms, they're way farther from the courts, and going from them all the way to the courts makes you late. So when the locker rooms come, I think that'll be a great way for us to like get to our practice on time. But also with water, we don't have any access to water down there.
This will be good, and that's probably something we ought to look at with running new water lines, is possibly getting you access to water. But that locker room is fairly close to the tennis courts. Now we may have to look at, because we haven't done it yet, but we've talked to some of our coaches, and it hasn't, when we get finished, we want a path there, not just, we don't want y'all walking through the mud to get there. We want a clean path, but very good. I'm glad to hear that. Academically, y'all understand our academies and pathways. Really good. Y'all like that idea? Now, you know it's like college. I have 3 kids. They all graduated from college. I'm very proud of that. All 3 of them changed their majors at least 3 times while they were in college. So make sure if somebody says, oh, you got this academy, you're stuck, because you're going to, no, you're not stuck. You can change academies, but the other thing is you can change pathways within an academy. So, how many of you, we talked about it earlier, how many of you taking college classes next year? Awesome. How many of you, do any of you have a goal? Because we have 4 or 5 this year graduating with associates. Anybody want to graduate high school with an associate's degree? I love it. I love it. You know, because the goal I had when I got here is, we have some students who may want to go to Yale or Stanford or Harvard or some school, and they really don't want Cameron or that on their transcript. But the majority are like me. We just want to get a college degree. And we'll worry about our graduate where we get to our graduate. So the more hours you get free, because that's one of our goals, is to have it for free. And hopefully that doesn't change in your career, that you continue to get free. So continue to encourage your co-students to take free classes. Because why would you take U.S. history in the high school when you can take it at college and get U.S. history credit at the high school and college credit for it? Does that make governments the same way? I mean, English 3, English 4, I mean, there's a lot there that, it kind of, now AP is still a thing. We still offer it, and we're going to try to expand AP over here. And that means if you guys are all taking college classes, the majority of you will be coming over here for them next year. So you kind of get a use here. They tell me the food's a lot better over here. I don't know why it would be. See, you've heard that too. Man. But I think it's probably just because they feed a smaller group, sometimes as many as your, and that's one thing we try to do, that in your local leadership at your school, you should be talking about the food. Because Dr. James is in charge of the cafeterias, and if he hears they're not good, he tries to work with them to improve the level of the food. And a lot of our adults eat, so make sure you're communicating that in your advisory, cell, flex time, or whatever you use that for. Anybody else on academic, what do you wish we did offer academically that we don't?
I'd like to say the strawberries are really good here.
There you go. Say, hey, if you're eating something, it's like we getting, one of the complaints when I got here and you guys were in elementary, none of the high school, secondary kids ate breakfast, so we put that little break in between that we call cell advisory and different things, where you can grab a breakfast, and we spend too much time. We're working on making that a better time period, not only for you, but for our adults academically. But it does, if you have to be at school at 7:30, how many of you are going to eat breakfast before you get to school? But if you just grab a juice and a strawberry, that's something to get in, to get into you early in the morning, and especially when it's free. And there's nothing wrong with free meals. So now when you have to eat lunch at the school too, needs to be a little better probably. But I've had the pizza a couple times. The pizza's not terrible. I'm not saying you went to the Firehouse Pizza and got it, but it's not terrible. It's edible. So, and some of the food's good. I mean, it's kind of what you like. The hard thing is, they can't spice it and they can't cook it the way your mom does. Come on, let's be real. Anybody else on academics want to talk about what we can do on academics? Anybody would like anything else? Who hadn't answered a question yet? Give her the microphone.
My name is Dicey and I go to Lawton High. And for academics, maybe making like scholarships worldwide instead of just in Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
Because I know I'm moving and there's certain scholarships here that I can't apply for.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe making them as well stoop down to like you can apply as a freshman.
I think some of the struggles we get with scholarships, and this is not unique to anywhere I've been, is how many freshmen are in your class? How many are in you all got about 300. Some of you a few more, some of you a few less. Well, there's 300 freshmen and there's basically one counselor. And she's trying to send that information out and she's pushing it out or he's pushing it out, in emails and you know what the worst form of communication is in 2025? Email. I mean, even y'all, do you really read your emails? I get 200 of them a day. I try to read them. I'm not saying I don't. It's just, but it creates that communication, but it's a two-sided thing. We talk to them about they can get better at communication, but we also got to get better at reading it. And you're right, it would be for the international students and probably looking at that. And I'll talk to some of our military liaisons. I think that would be something we should talk to even on a national basis about what are we doing for those high school students and their scholarship opportunities. Because the one thing about moving is if you moved, like when we moved, I'm not saying this happened or not, my middle daughter was a senior, so although we moved and I was the superintendent because we just moved her senior year, she wasn't eligible for a lot of the awards because she was just a senior when she moved in there. And we still had valedictorian and salutatorian and things like that, but she wasn't eligible because we moved in as seniors. And I couldn't pull the strings on that, obviously, even though I was the superintendent. So there are some things there we could do for our military students. Anybody else on academics? Yes, ma'am. Pass it around.
I was wondering if we could actually bring back the valedictorians and salutatorians because we don't have that at Lawton High.
No, we don't. And it's interesting. It wasn't here when I got here. It's the first school I was a football coach for a few years, so I worked at 3 or 4 schools, and this is my 3rd school to be a superintendent at. And I'm not sure the history of that, but it's probably worth looking into. I'll look into it and see. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Now, you guys had questions. We kind of got through my portion. Anybody else got anything else they want to add? Brandon, have you talked yet? No. Okay, you get to ask a question here in a minute. We're getting to Brandon. Does anybody got anything else they want to comment on? We just talked about facilities. Going the other way. Here we go. We talked about facilities. We talked about academics and what you would do if you were the superintendent. So if you think of something on any of those you want to throw it in. But those are the 3 things we talked about. And hopefully we meet again sometime with just y'all, and we'll come back maybe at the first of next year and we'll rehash some of this and say, okay, this, and this. Sorry you can't be here. We'll miss you, Dicey. Okay.
My name's Allie Kate, and I'm from Eisenhower. One other thing I had was allowing sophomores to leave campus for lunch because they can they can drive themselves to the LRC, and they can also drive themselves to school and home. So why not at lunch?
I'm not sure. I didn't. When you're getting to drive yourself to the LRC, that's a good question because that's new that we're letting sophomores drive to some of those things. I'm a closed campus person. If it was up. Again, it could be up to me, but I'm not going to do it. If it was up to me, we'd have all closed campus because 1,000 kids running around the town and 3,000 if you count all 3 campuses is a lot. It's a lot. All of our security we build and all of our safety issues just go out the window for a couple hours there. So I'm probably not going to advocate for that. Sorry. But I do see some things. In one school I was closed campus. We did let all of our kids who took concurrent classes have open campus. So it could be something we looked at. Okay, what other? Somebody's got another question.
My name's Gianna. I go to MacArthur. I want to go back to the locker room. Okay. So at MacArthur, in our big gym, we have HETS, basketball, girls and boys, and we have volleyball. And we were just thinking maybe we could revamp it a little bit. And so in the HETS in the HETS and basketball one.
Tell me what HETS stands for.
HETS, Highlanderettes.
Okay,
sorry.
Gotcha.
Yes, sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you.
they don't have stalls with doors, and so
So in the
things like
bathrooms, there's no stalls with doors?
yes, and
Okay,
same
well,
with
so
the
we need to-
volleyball
first
one.
we need to tell that, because anytime anybody tells me that, I send maintenance pretty quick. to
Yeah.
We'll get stalls put on those doors.
Yeah, and they
Doors put on those stalls.
yes.
Don't
And,
laugh at me. Come on. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got you.
The mirrors are broken,
Okay.
and it's just they have this big shower where people can shower, but it's just space that's not used.
You know, your generation just doesn't shower. When I was in sports, we showered. I know y'all look at me like I'm crazy. Y'all look at me like but they did. Whenever I was in school, we showered. It was just something we did, but y'all don't. Yes, you're telling, again, you can't fix it. It's not broke. No one's ever told me. One thing I've really worked hard on since I've been here is making sure any restroom we have, there's doors on the stalls. So we'll work on that. And if we got broken mirrors and things, we need to look at that. So make sure you guys, make sure somebody in your building gets it. And I think Mr. Brown's still in here, and he's probably they're taking notes right now, probably texting somebody right now finding out about it. Because believe it or not, I have never been in that locker room. But we will fix that and revamp it. So, and a lot of your larger locker rooms could get some changes in who's where, because like if tennis moves out to the tennis, that may break wherever some of those people are sharing locker rooms, it may open up some more space in the gym spaces. So, but thank you for letting me know.
Hi. Okay, back to the tennis. I don't know if you know, at MacArthur High School, there are like 2 water fountains, but they're not hooked up. So like, even if with the new facility, it's...
Yeah, I think they've already wrote that down, to get water
Okay.
to the, why we don't have
Yeah.
water at the tennis facility, because I've seen water fountains there.
Yeah, but nothing comes out of them. So if we can just get those ones.
Yeah, let's
too.
work on those. I'm sure there's a line busted to your, right here.
My name's Valerie, and I'm from Lawton High. And then, so at Lawton High, we have a bond committee, and we'll all kind of meet and just discuss things that we think need to be changed in our school.
Oh, awesome.
And I think one of our major topics was the small gym at our school. There's no...
I think we could get all 3 schools to talk about their small gym.
I think ours has like no insulation, and so whenever it was like really cold, it was like they couldn't even go in there and practice because it was so bad in there.
That is one thing we're looking at. I don't know if you guys were a little young. It was before my time, but in 2017, they passed the bond, and that bond did the safe rooms for the elementaries, built the new middle school at Eisenhower because the other one was falling into the ground, and did some other things. Well, it was like a 10-year, it was like 10 years till they did another one. Well, this is 2025, so 2027, maybe the end of 2026 is when we would try to pass another one. And what we're trying to do is, even from our students, but find out what those needs are. And if, you know, we know that getting $150 million is the max we could probably get, if we can even get that much. Okay, what do we need for that? You know, one thing I've looked really hard at, and it may not come into fruition in y'all's lifetime because of the timing of it, but I would like to remodel all 3 of our high schools and take them from, you know, 1950s and 70s high school and remodel them into high schools what we'd expect them to look like in 2050. And I think we can do that. It may take 2 bond periods to do it, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. But I also want to know, what do you want? What do they want at the elementaries? What does everybody want? And what are needs? And obviously, in our office, we got to separate needs from wants. But all 3, I don't think anybody's got a little gym or old gym that's much to talk about. And we need to improve those. And even goals in the old gyms. I mean, we just got a lot there. We've tried to fix things since I've been here. It just seems like every time you fix something, there's something else. Anybody else? I know she's got more questions. They making you ask all of them?
No. Going along with what Gianna said about the locker rooms, our bathrooms, well, the math wing is like super nice and the bathrooms are really nice, but the other restrooms, there's still a wooden door on the front, and a lot of the stalls don't have like locks on the doors, and they're broken.
Get that, because Lawton High mentioned that a while back. Okay, and we fixed it. So yeah, we get locks and stalls on the stalls. Doors on the stalls, that's twice, sorry. But anyway, we get that on, we need to check. But make sure we know, because I think part of what you get into is a lot of the maintenance people are men, so we don't go in there. Oh, it's your turn. You haven't asked anything yet. Thank you, guys. What's your question? You got to hand him that piece of paper. Who's got Eisenhower's piece of paper?
We already said what we...
Surely there's something else on that piece. There's a lot on that paper. 3 main, we already covered them all? I think we have. Oh, awesome. You got to have something to say. You're the only guy here.
I know. Maybe you could like fix the smells in our school, if that makes sense.
You know, that is a tough one because first of all, y'all schools all have 1,200 human bodies in it. I mean,
Like it smells like it's dead.
Yeah,
like a dead animal.
But I raise teenagers, and especially a son. You know, this kind of. But that does need to be. You know, one thing in the remodel you talk about is how you do it. You know, you talked about your restrooms. We got a lot of. We're kind of going to go step by step and remodel them. Like right now, we're going step by step and remodeling your auditoriums. Who's the first? Yeah, MacArthur got first for some reason, but their auditorium's going to be awesome. I mean, new seats, new curtains, new lights, and then we'll go to another. But all three schools will get their. We have dedicated about $4 million. McMahon Foundation gave us like $1 million of it, or maybe even $1.5 million. But all those schools will get their auditoriums remodeled. Okay, so we're going to close. You got to have a closing comment, Brandon, because you didn't. Anybody else not talk? Everybody else got on camera talking. Okay, Brandon, give us something. What's your closing thoughts?
I don't really know.
Oh, you don't have anything to say?
No.
Anybody else got anything they want to say in closing? Allie Kate, did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Awesome.
Thank you. I'm glad we got to meet with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. I enjoy this. I tell people that know me, I coached for 20-some years and taught school. I taught history. And when I got into administration, I was an elementary principal for a while. That was a lot of fun dealing with little bitty kids. That was the best job ever. But then when I was a superintendent, like at Woodland with 400 kids, my office was right there. I was around, I knew everybody. I was around, even at Clinton, I went to all the games. I knew everybody. Here, it's 3 high schools. I don't get around. It's different for me, and it's probably the thing I miss. I enjoy being around students because that's what I got into this business for. So no, if you ever got something that's broke or want me to fix, you can reach out. That is something I'm not afraid to talk to students. Although, you know, like I said, most of the time it's your principal and on up. You need to kind of go through the chain of command. Somebody else.
You bringing up the elementary schools remind me how it would be nicer if the high school and middle school got more involved with the elementary school kids because they look up to us.
That's a huge goal of ours because we talked earlier, and I don't know if I don't think we were on camera yet, that a lot of times the students talk about, whenever I say, what could we do more of? They talk about more, what you would call horizontal, more stuff we do together as a group. But also one thing we're really working on is how do we get more vertically aligned? How do we make sure that the students at Carriage Hills know what their high school, middle school is? How do we get where, you know, because that is one thing the smaller schools, like at my other jobs, had, is every elementary student knew what high school they cheered for, what games they went to. Well, how you make that happen is you guys go down there and talk to them. And it's one thing we really want to talk to is we start doing these academies and these pathways and working on this career and what we call this a Life Ready Center, because we want you guys to be life ready when you graduate. You know, we have the 3 E's. You probably haven't heard. We want you to either be enrolled in college or higher learning, employed, and when I say employed, gainfully employed, or enlisted, which would be in the military or one of our service organizations. So how do we start pushing that down? And you can go talk to the 6th graders and say, hey, this is what you need to start thinking about. It's going to be here before you know it.
I think sports, like high school sports, like football, any cheer, tennis, all the sports, a couple high schoolers come down to the elementary and go to their practices.
Yeah.
I help, me and Allie Kate, we're on our Eisenhower High School cheer team, and we help out with the Woodland Hills Elementary School
awesome.
Cheerleaders because her mom was the cheer coach for the elementary school.
That's a tough
And my
job.
mom is the secretary at the school.
Very good.
So it works out. And I feel like other sports could do the same things. And if it's not sports, just students come down and talk to the kids because
Getting the new facilities will help because now we play junior high football and I think all of your high schools, if I let this out because I don't know for sure, but I think all 3 high schools are planning on playing 1 game at your school next year, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's not really a big stadium, but just to think you get for the MacArthur people, you get to actually play a varsity football game at MacArthur. It's kind of cool, I think. And I think that'll bring out more, the people that live in that neighborhood will see the lights on and they'll come more tied for their small, that's kind of, soccer's already playing there. Any of you play soccer? Soccer, and I know we played all of our junior high stuff there, and with the turf on the baseball and softball fields, that helps we don't get rained out. But that's great, that vertical alignment is a great point, and it's something we really work on. Anybody else?
I think another thing, just adding on to what you said, would be like building just stronger bridges, not only between, Lawton High, MacArthur, Eisenhower, but also just transferring from, middle school to high school and elementary and middle school. I think there should be just something that's like kind of universal for all of us that helps us to really ease into the next level.
I think the pathways will help a lot with that, because when you think about it, you almost need to choose your pathway or your academy as a 7th or 8th grader now, because, we had a meeting today talking about, okay, how many kids do we have in 7th grade? Well, the new law says the kids who start 8th grade next year have to have 4 maths to graduate. So we almost got to start having 7th graders take Algebra 1. And 8th graders should almost all take Algebra 1. And that means they're going to have so many high school credits when they get to high school, it will tie with that. But you're right, and how that happens too is you guys talking to those kids, and we send you guys down for their pathway days and their career exploration days to talk about, hey, I chose this pathway, this is what we're doing. Because a lot of people don't know. How many of you knew that we had a fashion design class? Anybody interested in fashion design? You got to walk by that class and look. There's all kinds of, they've got, have you seen it? Yeah. They've got it's pretty cool. They've got it all. And to think, okay, I could go, even if you just did it for an hour just to help you buy your clothes. It wouldn't do me any good. My wife has to pick out my clothes for me. That's not funny either, but she's babysitting my grandkids, so she takes a tie wrap and wraps around the shirt, the tie, and the pants, and the jacket, so I'll make sure I put the right ones on. It's bad, isn't it? But anyway, I'm lucky I got a wife that'll do it for me. But just knowing what we have, our construction trades classes, and goes back to communication. I think sometimes, how do we get where everybody knows all the stuff we have? And that takes you guys telling the students, but we got to make sure you know first. I think they're wanting us to wrap up. Has anybody got anything else? Well, thank you guys so much. This makes my week, my day. I just enjoy it. So we're going to plan on sometime next year early, everybody except for Dicey. We could Zoom her in. But we're going to plan on everybody doing this again, and you guys will have all year to think between now and then what we can do better, how we can make it better, how can we inform people. Because I'm really excited that you guys are all taking concurrent classes. Because to me, free concurrent, it just makes no sense why students wouldn't take it. It's just like, man, start college as a junior will be great. All right. Well, everybody, one last time, wave. Thanks for turning into our podcast. Until next week.